Hey, we are here. We are here.
Once again
Mm-hmm.
as we continue. This has been, it feels like a long month, but it really isn't.
Mm.
But yes, welcome. We are taking the journey together.
Mm-hmm.
I am Sharon or Zare, and this is Craig or Imar, and we have been taking this journey together for.
Too long. No, I'm just joking. Today it seemed like it. That is.
Yeah, today has been a
It
long
has.
day.
Last couple of days have been
Yeah.
long. Seriously.
I
Oh.
and I'm thinking and wondering if a lot of that has to do with the fact that the weather has just been weighing heavily on us because not
Mm-hmm.
because we were locked inside, because business was as usual. I still had to go to work, you still had to go to work.
Mm-hmm.
Um and it was, but it was the stresses of, trying to stay warm. We have forgotten what that's like to
Mm-hmm.
have to bundle up to go outside and things like that. So um, it's been interesting and different, and the days have been truly quite long and tiring. And the week has seemed to have been kind of long too.
You think so?
hmm but then it always seems like that when um, there's a holiday at the beginning of the week,
Mm-hmm.
and it just seems like, and I think a lot of it has to do with it throws off the days and how you notice the days, and so yeah, um, but it was a great holiday that we just
Yes.
celebrated. It was one that it's one that we look forward to every year, and one that we definitely need to continue to celebrate.
Yes. Oh, we're looking at them. So, what are we looking at? Looking at them. So. Cameras over there. We're looking at them.
Yeah.
Okay. What are some good things you want to talk about before we get our way? Did you give us our vision statement at all?
I did not.
Didn't think I.
Okay. Our our vision statement is we are going to make, it doesn't matter what your mother, father, sister, even Jesus says, we are going to relate.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to take the journey together. We believe in relating in a balanced manner. And what we mean by relating in a balanced manner is you enter into a relationship with your friend, and you also enter into that relationship with the same person who is your lover. And so, having the lovership and the friendship in one person, you have a balanced relationship.
Yep. Yep. Balance. Look at this. That was kind of funny, really.
Yeah.
So when we look at balanced relationships, we think about balanced relationships the way other people think that it shouldn't be. Because I mean, we're going into our subject, our topic that was to do with human nature relations. So people would say, well, why are you using the word human nature relationships? It's because of the fact that we are human, and it should be natural for us to be have relations.
Absolutely.
I say that because I was watching the show a couple of days ago, and someone was saying it in so many words when it comes to a relationship between a man and a woman. There are humanly different things about the two, and they said it and described it in such a way as if this was a male figure that is was speaking it, was if the female figure or the female species, female spouse was human. They were different from them, no doubt about it, being female, but they weren't really human.
That kind of plays into that.
I know you know what I'm talking about, even though I
Yes.
might be stretched there. But the way they were talking as if. Now, female is not the same as a male. We all know that. And then they start describing things about the male, and the characteristics of the male were different characteristics, somewhat, not all, like a human. Okay? And like it was natural to be a male, though we got a lot of questions right now of the what do I want to say?
The validity of that.
No, well, that just that, but the negative things that are coming out about males, alpha males not being good males, males not knowing who they are, males not knowing what males are. And so it was coming out strong. This particular male was just talking about this is how to be a male, this is how to be a man. And it's not like a woman, different. And I mean, he just spoke in such a way to basically say when it comes to being a male and finding out how you should be a male, though it's a question right now, as I said, is you'll find out you're really naturally a human being as a male. But the female is something different. And you males can understand that females are different. I'm thinking to myself, that connotation easily said that maybe a female is not a natural human or a natural male, which is somebody different.
Well, there was that ideology that has been playing around for years that has put males and females in such opposite ends of the spectrum that they went so far as to say men are from Mars, women are from Venus, or some kind of ridiculousness like that. Like it's two completely separate, distant planets that they are focusing on in this world. So I mean, instead of finding the commonalities and making and bringing the males and females into one plane, everything continues to keep them. Males are over here, females are over here, and it's almost like the two shall not do anything but bump heads.
Or how about bumping the bed?
Well, yeah, that too. Well, that
some bumping and lumping in the bed.
That makes that is the equalizer for everything.
It's sadly that is.
Yeah. And generally, and a lot of times it's the male that says, "Oh, but that's okay." And that goes all the way back from the beginnings of Star Trek. Captain Kirk would bed any alien that came across, and they were all so anxious to do that. So it's like it doesn't matter what category or culture or planet.
Yeah, planet.
Something that appears to be female.
Oh, also too. Remember to describe this even better. That's a good point. Remember, they actually also had females who were green.
Yes.
Captain Kirk was having an affair with her. Well, at least she was a female.
But
she wasn't human. There was a blue one too. Green, so. No, but I remember.
Yeah.
The females were.
Like, it
they weren't
matter.
Human, but they were. Yeah, exactly.
It didn't matter. They could have horns and at the same time and 6 arms, and they still had an attraction to him and he to them. And they made it okay.
Yeah, they did. Yeah. It kind of reminds me of the old stereotype that said that when it comes to a woman, as long as she's married, naked. She didn't talk back. And then, of course, the worst one is we need to make her a sexual object. From that
operative word, object.
Exactly, not human.
Yes.
And it's really a shame, especially for African Americans, to lower themselves to that, especially as males, lower ourselves to that standard, which is the standard that was set even for us when it came to slavery. We were objects, chattel objects, treated less wise. The whole mindset was you were not a human being, so your feelings, good or bad, didn't count. Feelings like we don't. No, not really. So we can hang you for your kids, burn you at the same time. No one really cares. And what a oxymoron. You don't really feel pain, let alone the rest of them watch it. But we're the one to make the determination. We did it, and we did it mostly because we had no pain at all being able to do it. Wow, that is.
You don't feel any pain because I didn't feel it.
Yeah, well, whatever, it's still hypocritical. And then, of course, we the test in the hospital. They still give us much drugs. Because they can deal with more pain. And I understand the psychology is as much. If you never did anything back to us, you seem to still smile. So I guess you got to take a lot of pain because we will take that shit. So sadly, in relationships, we carry that same thing that we're talking about today. We don't treat each other like humans. We don't treat each other that naturally human beings. It's very important that we should do that and think about it as we talk about it today. As the second time taking the journey together, we're going to talk about human nature being part of who we are as beings, female and male. Malcolm, when he came back from a clear revelation in this case, was all about trying to go to the United Nations, basically saying around the world, people of black diaspora itself are the ones we weren't being. And he wasn't just going just for black males. He wasn't going just for brown colored males. He was going for females too. He understood that dynamics. That's the same way we have to see ourselves in our relationship. Exactly.
Yeah.
That's the same way we have to see ourselves in our relationship. And a balanced, thriving relationship is that way. Is that more? It understands that. Its very essence understands that. Its very energy understands that we are human, natural beings. Now, no doubt about it. Life, how we live, our experiences are different, but it's commonality things that have to do with love, that have to do with joy, that have to do with hate, that have to do with sadness, that go on and on. Those characteristics we have as part of human beings. We're going to talk more about that. That's what this is all about. The core characteristics of feelings, psychology, psychological behaviors, all shared by all people with different experiences. And we have to tell each other, human, good or bad, predators, or animal, peaceful kindness, wisdom, or all.
And, people sometimes we treat each other less than and we see ourselves that way because of experience and things that people have said or done to us.
Or the society treats us.
Exactly.
I always remember amazingly treated less African Americans specifically. I've been in diaspora too. Is that they point the animal thing first. You can watch many animal shows, wild, all the other animal shows and stuff like that. Film animals, detailing animals. They always portray them as very kind, compassionate, having very social skills between one another, unless territories cross or need territorial bounds, or whatever you may want to say. But other than that, the description that they give people, especially African Americans, animal wise, is totally, I'm going to say, false.
It really created a dichotomy of thought process because on the one hand it says we're like animals, and then on the other hand, but animals behave differently. Animals behaved in more of a compassionate role to one another than they gave our ancestors credit.
Well, more than that, they would treat their dogs and other animals more compassion, more benevolent.
Yeah, especially horses.
Yeah. They suck the dogs out on other humans. Yeah. So it's very crazy, very psychologically and mentally mixed up upside down, unhealthy. But we kind of carry that same thing in our relationships. I'm a man, I'm gonna tell you what to do. I'm a man, you better do it. I'm a man, if not, you're gonna get hit with the back of my hand. I'm a man, what can you do about it? That kind of thing, which usually,
you're no better than a child.
Yeah, in so many words, I'm a man, you're not human. I'm a man, you can't be a human. Yeah. I'm a man, you'll never be a human. Yeah. I'm a man, if you are, I'm more human than you.
And those are all negative stereotypes that have been brought about and handed down for generations and centuries. And these are learned behaviors and learned ideology, learned train of thoughts. When you when you take into consideration what human nature relationships really are and how they're defined, we find out that they are
Find one.
meaningful relationships defined by culture and environment.
Say it again.
They are meaningful relations between mind, body, culture, and environment that can promote
Uh-oh.
sustainable
So
living.
we were saying, if you operate in a balanced, healthy relationship, I forget. Everybody's in health now.
Yes.
It is sustainable for living. If you look at yourself and your mate as being what? Human. And you're in a natural relationship. I'll say it again. That you both are human.
Yes.
And you naturally can be in a relationship. Some folks, as we talked about, given at the beginning, they don't quite feel that in their relationship. This is natural for us to be in this relationship. I'm saying, if you don't feel in your relationship, it's natural for you to be in it, you're going to get out of it.
And if you don't feel like you are both human beings, first of all, that should be treated a certain way. You know, the thing of it is, if you look at each other in the same vein, on the same level, you get rid of that inferiority, superiority situation in the relationship. You're even, you're equal, you're you know, you may have certain things that one does better than the other, but those things are set up to be the balance in how the relationship runs. Not to say, oh, I'm so much better because I can add 2 plus 2.
Exactly. And that equals 5.
Exactly. Creative math.
Living meaningful. That's what we're talking about. Living meaningful.
Yes.
Having a serious, important, and useful quality or purpose of communicating something that is not directly expressed. Meaningful glances. Expressed, in this case, passion. We're talking about furthering the progress of something, especially to a cause, virtue, or aim. That's right. When you look at a human relationship that you're in, it's supposed to be under the foundation of being meaningful, have quality, has a purpose, able to communicate directly between one another, not just one and not the other. And it should be taken seriously.
Yes.
Balance, thriving, healthy relationships do. Do you do it all the time? No. There are methods and ways to get you back there, but that's your foundation, especially if it's based on friendship. You're not thinking of yourself any other way. I've seen some relationships before my time where both of them fought like cats and dogs. Well, after it was over, they made love better than cats and dogs. But they're finding that they might as well call themselves cats and dogs. I think the guy almost barked a couple of times. She growled. I think they thought of themselves as being animals the way they treated each other. No respect in the words, no respect in their action, facial action. Their energy was totally against each other from the standpoint of you're not human. Now we know on the furthest end, that it can get so bad that we then move into the area called domestic violence, where someone in that relationship thinks of that someone as being inhuman, thinks of someone as being a monster, thinks of someone being that they shouldn't exist. You know, we see that happen. And we know, especially in the urban Black community, there is that role model. There is, not role model, wrong word. There is that badge. There's that negative connotation that's put on a Black male, that you're a monster. And many times we will follow down that trail and say, I'm a monster out of anger and rage. And act just like a monster with anger and rage in domestic violence. and we become inhuman and then
And inhumane.
inhumane. Thank you. And then, of course, we transfer that onto our innocent beings, and even our children. And they end up being damaged, sometimes even killed. So this is what happens when you don't see yourself as being human and knowing that it's natural for you to be a human, because it is, and that in a relationship, the same naturalness is there for a serious purpose, as we just talked about, making sure that you keep it healthy. That mindset will keep it healthy. I'm supposed to be this way. I'm supposed to be a human. She's supposed to be humans. We are humans. Yet this is a serious thing that we're about doing this. This is why we're doing this.
And the problem comes in when we lose track of that. When we lose track of the reason why we're together, the reason why we're together. The fact that we would not have come together in the first place if we were not of the same vein, if we were not both human, if we did not both have something to contribute to the relationship, if it were, if the stereotypes, the negative stereotypes were the reality, why would you want to see that in our partner? So we've got to start, we've actually got to find another way to look at ourselves and look at the people that we choose to be in relationship.
You are moving to that next point that I was going to do after commercial, but topple it down. Start it down, and then maybe after commercial. Yes. Many of you may be listening to this the first time. Say, hey, Sharon, taking the journey together. I'm in this relationship right now. I'm not feeling like I'm human. I'm not treating this other person like that. If they ain't treating me like a human, they treat me like, hopefully we won't get in trouble, treat me like a bitch. Go and treat me like a nigga. We don't get off this channel saying this. But this happens. In those trying to survive relationship. Both of them ain't feeling like human. And I'm there. What do? Continue on? Or do just cut the whole thing off? But I can't. I'm in this. I can't move out of this. Well, you have to continue on the same way, in the same position you were before. You don't have to. Because now you know you're human. Now you know that relationship is to be about healthy. So you can now look at doing different choices. Both. You're not talking to personal life. What are we talking about? We're talking about being able to create different environments. Because many of us are living in environments where we're not making enough money. We have too many kids, maybe mamas, maybe our parents living with us. We got an environment that's really messed up. We know many of our neighbors ain't doing much to make us feel that we belong on this earth anyway. So we may have to define our environment. That's right. We may have to define our environment. Many of the choices you made that you're in right now, because you made the choice to be in that environment. We know sometimes it wasn't that way. But there are some things in our environment we made the choice to be in. I know it, especially to think from that end. So what you think about that?
I agree with that. And one of the things that we need to also look at and not count out is something that a lot of people in our community do not want to deal with, is seeking help. And, you know, in order to save your marriage, in order to save your sense of who you are, and not focus so much on what somebody else thinks you are, or think that you are, or try to make you believe you are, seek counseling, seek coaching, life coaching, family coaching, planning, and things of that sort. There's help out there. You know, but there's no reason for us to walk around now saying, I'm not human, I'm less than human. But when I say saying it, I don't verbally say it necessarily, because a lot of people won't verbally say it, but they feel it so deeply that they carry it out in their person. They carry it out in the way they talk to other people. They carry it out in the way they interact with other people. The attitude of, I'm going to get you before you get me, even if you have no desire to do anything negative towards that person. It's that lack of trust that's there because of what we have had. We've got to get counseling or something to get rid of that, because that lack of trust that we have in the outside world sometimes is brought into the inside world. I say the inside world, exactly, I'm talking about into our relationships.
Exactly. And in human-natured relationships, who are two humans dealing with each other, they are going to deal with each other in a serious, kind, expressive way, through music, through art, through hobbies, through different talented ways of expressing themselves like human in a relationship. They are going to be about that because they see themselves as being human. In human, if you're arguing, battering back and forth all the time, you don't like a lot of drama, like Hello Atlanta, whatever that place is called, or mostly like soap operas. Many of us grew up with. You can be understanding that. First of all, you don't live like soap operas. It's okay. You can funny people.
It's a whole imaginary,
Exactly.
larger than life. This is the perfect relationship, although they don't get along. This is the perfect lifestyle, although they don't get along. And it just
And many of
builds
us in
that
our
up.
culture, they don't get there in the first place.
Right.
Lifestyle not going to be given that big word. They're not going to let them in the store. They're always going to make sure that they're on the list. So
I know about that business.
exactly. So being who you are, where you are as a human being with your relationship, means you're going to take it seriously, and you're going to, as I was saying before that, you're going to do those things in your relationship that's not going to cause drama. That's not going to cause peril. Not going to cause anxiety. You're not going to do those things because you want to be human with one another. And it's a natural thing to do, not an unnatural thing. There's so much things that we have to deprogram in our subconscious mind that's been given to us as folks, as Black folks especially. And we think lower of ourselves, and we live much lower than our capabilities, much lower than we have been given by God or the gods to be able to be and do on this earth. And we don't have to believe the idea that it came up before during Insight Time that heaven you're talking about, Mr. Butts, I'm on, is going to come once I get to heaven. No, you can create that on this earth in a balanced, healthy relationship, because that's what heaven really is. Are you in a relationship? Are you connected to someone else who's treating you with love and care, and you're doing the same thing? And then the existence of that is permeating in your environment and with those you connect with. What more heaven is that? Seriously. I know some of you may be saying, and they got to move on to a commercial, well, Mr. Butts, I'm not on that big yacht. I'm not flying across the world. We've already heard too many times on the end of the rainbow, those who've been there have always came back. They're the ones that say, that's still not enough. I still feel inside something missing. Something missing. You would think if on that end of the rainbow and all that material stuff you got, or someone collected, would always end up in a good story. Man, this should be the biggest church. This should be the biggest company. There should be the biggest amount of testimonies come from everybody who gets there. But that's not what happens. That just doesn't. Material things can never take place from the energy of love, the energy of you. Why? Because material things are not human beings. They're not human beings. I know tech guy back there saying, hey, AI is coming pretty soon.
Not a human being.
It may be a human being. Look at least in my lifetime. Look at all those AI created videos put out there. Damn good about copying people. I say to you, look in their eyes. Look in their eyes. They cannot capture the soul of a person. And the eyes are the window to your soul. Most of the times, those eyes, when you look at them, they look like the lights are on. Nobody's home. Because nobody is home. Anyway, let's get ready to move on to a commercial. And we will be right back.
I'm going to be back. You're going to be back.
Yeah. You'll be back. All right, back again. Hey, someone's watching and know who they are. They're part of the show, but they're also the one behind they are the Wizard of Oz who's behind the curtain. You know who you are, Mr. J. Thank you for your input, for letting us know. But that's just another sign of why you need someone to help us out and engineer it so we can do our flow without having to worry about too much technical in the background, which I have to do at the same time. But anyway, thank you for giving us that information. Hopefully our mic is not too squeaky. And I just turned off the sound. He said the sound was too, background music was too loud. It was last time too. I forgot.
You know what? And I thought this time well, we can hear that too well.
Yeah.
So
that's the only reason.
Yeah.
Well, let me
leave it low.
Okay, so, leave it low. Well, talk then.
I am. So we are back. We are Sharon and Craig, or Saray and Aymar, and we are taking the journey together.
Hit the private comments chat. Julius, let us know if he got it, if it's okay. Anyway, go ahead and text us anyway and let us know if it's okay now. And so back to what we were saying. I'm sorry.
And we're talking today about human nature relationships. And one of the things that I notice is when you speak of human nature, people tend not to think about the fact that it can be something as simple as how we treat each other from the standpoint of being kind to one another, not putting, a lot of pressure on each other, not having expectations like, well, this is what my mother did, so why don't you do it? Or this is what my father did, so why don't you do it? We're dealing with different people. Maybe they have some of the same characteristics, some of the things that you liked about your parents or whatever, but that doesn't mean that they're going to carry them out the same way, because their experiences that got them to where they are different.
Okay, so now you're opening up that door that has to do in a human nature relations. I mean, I'm dealing with people in this relationship, and therefore, since I know that I should take this relationship seriously and be humane in it, I need to be cognizant of that. I need to be conscious of that. I need to be aware of that. I don't want to act like I'm not human and treat another human humane by acting like I'm not aware of it. And you're right, in many relationships, they wouldn't be aware, or they'll be so aware of it, they say that's how it should go in this relationship. My mom says do this, I'm going to do that.
Yeah.
Now, how humane is that to your partner in that relationship?
It's not, especially when it is not something that they may not have any background to deal with that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, sometimes people have a special set of circumstances because of the way they were raised,
Mm-hmm.
and that is from person to person.
Yeah.
And so we can't force that upon somebody else.
Wow. How much more flowing and more harmonized that would be being humane in a relationship where you have a different religion than your spouse.
Yeah.
Do you two converge with one another, or do you both have not what's the word I use? You just deal with it. Capitulate. How do you deal with it then, being human, knowing both of you have the right to your belief system and relate to one another? Now, I'll be honest with you, I'm gonna come out front, because we were talking so far. If you're in this situation, you got to deal with it from there. I'm going to first talk about it before you get in the situation, because many of the taking the journey together, healthy, thriving information we give and knowledge we give is information you should take with you and make a decision before you get in that relationship, before you get into that marriage, before you get into that deep long term. Okay? And you talk it over to your mate. But if you are in it, then that's a different story. But if you're not in it, one of the showstoppers, I say, I've talked about it more than once, your religious belief system can be a showstopper in a relationship. That's right. It could be a showstopper in a relationship. Someone say if you're not equally yoked. No doubt about it, some people's religious systems that they follow and they believe strongly could be very opposite from one another, very, how can I say, polarized from one another, that it might make it very hard for you two to actually relate together in a balanced, healthy way. I'm also saying you may not feel too much of a friend once you find out what that religion belief system is. You know what I'm saying? I've seen that happen. I just might as well say, I know a lot of guys that in my time, they loved the look of those who were from the Nation of Islam. Thought they looked good, dressed good, smelled good, thought they had a good kind of energy. But they're like, man, I'm not even thinking about trying to have a relationship with them. I ain't even thinking about trying to marry them, man. You know what they believe? You know what they into? Now, man, that's just an example that I grew up knowing about, and how religion can be a showstopper. And that's what I look at. It can cause a very, very hard way of both people treating each other as human beings. What do you think about that?
It can definitely be an issue. Religion, and taking it even to another avenue, I guess you could say.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas one person is very entrenched in church,
Mm-hmm.
in religion, go to every service that possibly comes up, is
Mm-hmm.
a part of this organization, that
Mm-hmm.
organization,
Mm-hmm.
and another organization in the church.
Mm-hmm.
And they're with someone who, why am I going to go to church?
Mm-hmm.
I don't believe in going to church.
Mm-hmm.
Why do you have to go to church all the time? And that can cause a rift because one believes strongly in it and the other has this belief of it's a waste of time. It's, all kinds of negative thoughts
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
as far as going to church is concerned.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, those, something as simple as that, one person wants to go, one person
Mm-hmm.
sees no need in it, that can cause a rift also.
Yeah. Yeah.
Religion is one of those things that is really difficult, even if you it can start off from just the friendship level,
Mm-hmm.
and then as the relationship gets deeper,
Mm-hmm.
so does that. You know, because relationships involve more than one person.
Mm-hmm.
Developing an intentional relationship culture requires more than one person.
Mm-hmm.
Um, each partner brings to the relationship ways of doing things. Like I grew up in church. I'm going to church every Sunday. I don't feel right when I don't go to church. I firmly believe in the teachings that I get from church. Um, that's one culture, but another culture could be I carry church with me. I don't feel like I have to go.
Mm-hmm.
And so how do you find that balance in that, or is it even possible?
Yeah, we're talking about cultural relationships that should
Hmm.
be reciprocal.
Yeah.
Um, and finding commonality between the cultures could be very, very difficult. Now we're moving to that part. Humans are not all of the same culture. We're
Yes.
not talking about race because that's a conscript. Bad one, negative one, we know it. We see the results as being African Americans. But we're talking about human nature now, all humans. So culture comes along with it. Culture has everything to do with the clothes. Cultures have everything to do with the music. Culture has everything to do with the food.
The
Culture has to do with
traditions.
how they look. Culture has everything to do with how they dance, how they walk. Can I go on? That's all part of culture.
Yes.
So the trying to reciprocate in culture is another thing to be concerned about when it
Mhm.
comes to healthy balanced relationship. And we just were talking before we got on the show that in America, that is one of the high parts of this idea of freedom here. Because in most other countries, I don't care if they call the other countries civil countries, which could have happened more. Most other countries, it's still you marry someone that's of your cultural background or your religious background, and you don't cross over. You can go to in America. There are many people who have different cultural backgrounds who have married someone else and another cultural background. Part of that idea of that freedom is here, right?
Yes. Yes.
How those kind of relationships have to, should, must default to human
Yes.
at the basis of who they are to naturally be able to relate.
Mhm.
But yet, they still run into a lot of problems.
Yes. I worked with this one female, and she and her husband had been married for quite some time, and they had children. Um, she was, oh my gosh, what was it? The ones that go to church on Saturday,
Mm-hmm.
and he was Catholic, I believe it was.
Mm-hmm.
And what they did
Now, this
is
is a religious background.
exactly, and what they did, they went to church with each other.
Mm-hmm.
He would go with her, never converted or whatever. He would go
Mhm.
with her on Saturday and the kids. She would go with him on Sunday or whatever day they went, because
Mhm.
I think Catholics had they had several days or something,
Mhm.
she was saying. And the kids had both experiences so that when they grew up, they could make a choice.
Mm.
But that is not the norm.
That's true.
That is not the norm.
That's true.
But that is what it takes to have an equal relationship when you have differences, because you are going to bring differences to the relationship sometimes. Sometimes it's not going to be that drastic.
Mhm.
Most of the time it's not that drastic. But when it is, and you have to make the decision, do I stick with this relationship or do I let it go?
Mhm.
You need to find a way to, you need to exhaust all the possibilities
Mhm.
before you dissolve it.
One thing is for sure, there are a lot of those kind of relationships, um, culturally different relationships that are somehow through being reciprocal to one another, are relating, married, have children, and are operating as humans. Um, in the world, but we're talking about America too. I would love to be able to hear from people who are in those kind of relationship and ask them how do they relate with one another.
Yeah.
I would love to ask them, is friendship a strong base for you to relate to one another, knowing your cultures are different?
Mhm.
Hopefully one of these times we can get some, if you know somebody's out there, you could basically, I'm gonna put it up here, you could basically have them go to our email address, let them get a hold of us at ttjt at takingthejourney-together.com. Oh, no. Oh yeah, that's it. They'll come back around again. I'm sorry. And let us know. We'd love to have you on the show. We'd love to find out if friendship is a basic, a foundation in your relationship. Because no doubt about it, I would think you would have to have that. You have two cultural backgrounds, and you're trying to go with the children thing, and you're relating together.
Or even trying to make it work before you get to the children stage.
Well, we know the idea of freedom in America gives you a lot more availability to be able to do that. And of course, it all depends upon what particular state or city you go to that make you feel more comfortable. But still at that, that's got to be a real challenge. Got to be a real challenge. So I would love to know how they keep their relationships balanced. And love to know some ones that have been together for years, over 50 years maybe or so, especially from this country, and see how it went.
What did you do to work it out? What did you find was for you the one thing or the several things that
you treat each other as human beings?
That has to be the first one. That has to be the first thing.
Exactly.
And have that respect for each other and your differences. And that's one of the problems that a lot of people have. They don't respect somebody else's uniqueness, or somebody else's differences as their uniqueness. And what they do is they, instead of seeing it as something that is unique and respected, it's different from me, so it's not, so something's wrong with you.
I think, again, it has a lot to do with what we talked about before the show, kind of social norms that say, as we talked the first time, many times men say that women are not really human beings. And you also have that almost that same thing in so many words that has to do with whatever you're talking about, whatever you're saying, really doesn't matter. And it's not even up to the level of human enough for me to even have to listen to it, let alone care about it.
Exactly.
In the first place.
I don't even, what you're talking about does not rate. And what that comes down to is a basic disrespect for the person, for what they're saying, what they believe in. And some people don't, in relationship, will not even listen enough. And it's not all men. Quite often there are women, especially when you take into consideration women who feel like they have married down, and when I say married down, I mean somebody who is not on the same corporate level as them, does not make the same money as them, does not have the same education as them, did not have the same socioeconomic upbringing as them. And so they look at them as a lesser person. That can be male or female, either one in that situation. But when you don't respect the person that you're with, when you know what they're bringing to the table in the first place, when you know what they might bring to the table in the first place, and when you know what you need and you didn't seek that, when you have that lack of respect or jealousy or whatever it is, then you are in a situation where you're not treating that person as human. And you're truly not being humane about the situation.
No. Because relationships involve more than one person, developing an intentional relationship, culture requires more than one person. Intentional relationship culture. Oh man. I mean, there's a culture that has to be created when it comes to a, how can I say it? two human beings coming together naturally.
Yeah.
You have to intentionally
Yeah.
then develop that relationship.
And that's kind of like what I was talking about this coworker that I had. They intentionally figured out a way to make it work.
Mm-hmm.
When they compromised, they found a compromise on their religious beliefs
Mm-hmm.
to make it work. They had a whole lot of other things that they were different in too, but that is something that you must do with intention. And when you do it with intention, and this is just my belief system here, when you do it with intention, you're not coming from the standpoint of my way is better than your way, so we have to do it my way.
Yeah, my way or the highway.
Exactly.
As they say. Yeah, exactly. So for better or worse, okay, each partner will bring to the relationship ways of doing things, influenced by pieces of cultures that they've been a part of, religion, ethnicity, family, company, society, and such. Each brings unique strengths and difficulties to your relationship culture. Notice I said relationship culture. How many times have we thought about a relationship as being a relationship culture? We usually just think it's a plain old relationship.
Yes.
I'm American, she's American, she's down the street, she's a girlfriend from some time before. Never thinking that, whoa, hold on for a minute now. We're not talking about two different cultures too. We're talking about who India and maybe Japanese people coming together. We're talking about from the standpoint of you two didn't grow up in the same house. You two did not have the same parents. You two did not have the same brothers and sisters.
Possibly not
You
even the same
didn't
neighborhood.
even have the same neighborhood. You even were looking on the world differently according to your relatives, your friends, and your parents mainly of the part. So basically, those elements are cultures.
Yes.
They're cultures.
And when you come together
Mm-hmm.
and you marry and you form a relationship,
Mm-hmm.
whatever you create within that too is a culture.
Yes.
That is a culture.
We have Thanksgiving, yes, but in Thanksgiving we don't do turkeys. No, we do little hens. Just an example.
Yeah.
That's an example of a different culture. You might have came out of a culture in your family where you did chicken, and the other one did number turkey,
or you did ham.
Exactly, but
or you didn't even celebrate Thanksgiving.
So our culture we're creating of our relationship as humans is we're going to do Cornish hens. That's just an example, right?
And that's what we decided we would make work,
Mm-hmm.
Or duck.
Exactly. As such,
yes.
As such, each brings unique strengths and difficulties to the relationship culture. Remember, we're calling it a relationship culture now. Trying to blend and patchwork various ways of doing things can be tricky. And that's the biggest thing we have in a relationship when you're in the survival mode. Your survival mode is this church tricky. She ain't going to ever understand me. I'm not going to understand it. She's always going to be a B. He's always going to be a whatever that is. And we're never going to get along. He's from Mars. She's from Venus. Whatever that may be. It is a mess. And it's going to always be a mess and drama. So let's just let it go and play on it.
And that's about what we're going to have to do is let it go.
Exactly. Let that go. No doubt about it. Because we're human beings. To create the most intentional relationship culture that works for both of you requires both parties to be into trying on new ways of doing new things. Again, I'll read that again. That's in my notes. To create the most intentional relationship culture. That's what we're calling this. This being human beings together is we're trying to create a human culture, a new intentional relationship culture, since we're relating together, of course, that works for both, not just you, not just her, not mostly just her, not I'm doing my thing and he gets along with me, or I'm doing my thing and he does my thing and that's how we get along. No, it works for both of you, but it requires both partners to buy into the trying on new ways and doing new things. Your old cultural ways, what mama did, what daddy did, ain't gonna work for you. I didn't say all of it's not, but some of them ain't gonna work for you too as you're building your own culture. And you got to try new things. You can't keep that same old broken tire that you've been doing in your survival. You have to do something new. Think about something new that you could do. What's a new thing that you could think of that's in the last couple of minutes of the show that a couple could do? Since we are now talking about how to build relationships, natural relationships.
One thing, and I'm just going to use us as an example.
Okay.
One of the things that we did is we created our own New Year's celebration, in which each year we brought the new year in at a different beach.
Yes.
And so, and that was just one of the things that we did because we both like the beach, and we figured what better thing to do than to spend it at the beach. And so each year, a beach was where we chose to go. That's our culture. Neither one of us really had that because both of us grew up in landlocked places, and there was no beach anywhere nearby. But that's something that we both came together loving. So we could have, done the usual. I don't really like to be in crowds on New Year's Eve with, fireworks and the whole 9 yards. I don't like being around a whole bunch of people I don't know. And so that was just what we decided to do.
Yeah, I just rolled my hands, looked up there. I thought I saw a 9, but it was 8. Still got two minutes from that end. You want to end us until we see each other again?
Yes.
With the fact that we're talking about human nature is what is at the core of a balanced, healthy relationship.
And human nature has to do with how you treat that other person, how you treat each other, because that's what's going to make a difference in whether the relationship flows smoothly or not.
Exactly.
Respect.
Exactly. So gain your respect, gain your love. You can when you look at your mate as being another human being, and knowing that since she's a human being,
he's a human being.
Exactly. So we both feel each other like human beings, and we treat each other humanely.
Yes.
Until next time, God bless and Ashe.
And continue to take the journey together.
Is that the right one? Well, you're going to continue in a minute.
I like that.